I think what the press misunderstands about evangelicals so often is that our whole faith is based on the theology of forgiveness, on the fact that we believe Jesus taught also that all of us are sinners. We all sin every day, and that's why evangelicals supported Trump.
Okay, hello friends. You're Chapo. Coming at you this week on Patriot Day, which is, I guess, what we're calling 9/11 now.
Yeah.
Officially a holiday, Patriot Day. Not to
Right. 9/11, or as I call it, the Boston Marathon Bombing Jr.
Yeah.
The diminutive version of that attack. The real attack that captured America's heart and made millions enlist.
My opinion,
The
9/11, the real 9/11 is when that Morgellons attacked Hillary so vilely in 2016.
Guys, we all feel great. We all feel great.
My first experience with irony was when my sleepaway camp I went to in northern Wisconsin closed down. So I went to it in the summer of 2001, and it closed down after that. And yeah, it closed down in October, and my dad called it our family's 9/11, and that set me down a lifelong path.
You've been warped ever since then.
Yeah.
Today we will not be doing any remembrances, but we got a story for you that I think warrants a full length episode because it's a very detailed story that weaves together so many of the threads that we've discussed on this show. You've got evangelical Christianity,
Check.
bizarre, idiotic, like JV level corruption and scamming.
Always love
You've
that.
got juicing search SEO. You've got swinger, hot wife, cuckold fetish stuff.
Yep.
You've got at fail sons.
Absolutely. A series, like a dynasty of fail sons.
You have just the overall trajectory of the American right wing in the era of Donald Trump, and you have the work of, honestly, probably American genius, someone who has probably captured the moment we live in more accurately or more vividly than almost anyone else I can think of. I'm speaking, of course, about Danny McBride.
Yes.
Unironically, Danny McBride is maybe the defining artist of our time. It like Alexander Payne is one because Alexander Payne captures the older generation, the older Xers and boomers, the middle-aged man whose life is falling apart and he blames everyone. But Danny McBride captures something else, the foul son of multiple generations, which
Yes.
is this hyper-specific moment. This is the moment of the foul son, of the hyper-confident foul child. And that is his artistic oval, whatever that word is. I'm not going to say this.
Artistic oval.
I'm not going to try to say the French thing. It's oval now. It's shaped like an egg. I know it's like the French word for egg. We're going to call it oval. It's the same shape. More and more, people come up to me and say, Donald, it's the same word. We're just going to say it.
The National Academy for Language just came out and said, yes, they're the same word. The president is correct.
The toughest man I ever met with tears in his eyes came up to me and told me this.
So the article we're discussing is Politico's big expose on Jerry Falwell Jr. and just what the fuck is going on at Liberty University and the sort of the manifold sin and corruption that seems to fester there.
Yeah. And speaking of trajectories and currents of current American life, what I found out, I had thought of Liberty University as one of these weird evangelical campuses, like, a fortress for Christianity. And it is, but more than that, it's a fucking online school.
Yes,
It's basically the University of Southern New Hampshire.
We will get into all of this, but like when we saw this article, it was like it just resonated with so much of the things that we're talking about. And not only that, but you read this article and it is happening at the exact moment that Danny McBride's new series, The Righteous Gemstones, is on TV. So mild spoilers ahead for the first 4 episodes of Righteous Gemstones. If you haven't seen them already, I would recommend you pause.
Yeah.
Do that and come back.
It really will give a lot of good context.
We will
for
be
everything in
discussing
this.
details from the show.
Yeah.
But as batshit and like absurd in a believable way, which is like the hallmark of McBride's comedy, it really doesn't even come close to the actual Falwell family. Like,
my God.
the Gemstone family. Like, in case you haven't seen it or aren't aware of it, Danny McBride's new series, The Righteous Gemstones, is about a family of televangelists who have this kind of an empire of wealth based on preaching the gospel and fleecing the rubes.
They did real good in the church business.
They have an amusement park. They have a stadium cathedral. They drive around in like matching SUVs and fly on private jets. And they're all, and it's like John Goodman is the patriarch. He's like the Jerry Falwell Sr. And then you have his children who are all ludicrous failed children.
Yes.
Who fuck up in many amazing and hilarious ways. None of them quite as funny as the actual Jerry Falwell
It's
Jr.
true. It's true.
Before we get into this Jerry Falwell Jr. thing, you know how we've been talking about how 2006 is back, and we are planning to do a 2006 retrospective, a mega episode of sorts. But this is a very 2006 story.
Oh, absolutely.
This is straight out of 2006. The evangelical guy, not just getting horny, but getting horny in a strange way. Sending strange emails.
Yeah, no, strange horniness was a real defining characteristic of the Bush era. It's coming back, baby.
You had Mark Foley.
Yep.
Texting teenage pages to be like, "Are you horny?" And they'd be like, "Yeah," and he just replied, "Cool."
He wrote the Anthony Weiner sexting guide, like his Anthony Weiner's in-house style of texting girls, like. They should call me Mayor Hard On. It was straight from Mark Foley.
Larry Craig, of course, the wide stance and the Minnesota
Jeff
airport.
Gannon.
Jeff Gannon.
The rough trade reporter, the fake news man.
Literally an invented journalist and maybe person, if you look into the Franklin credit ring, who just a totally hairless stud who showed up in the White House press pool to ask planted questions of like, who was the press secretary at that time?
I don't know. Fleischer?
I think it was it Tony Snow at the time?
It might have been,
or the sort of the
he was there
one.
for briefly. And then the tubby guy, McClellan,
I think it may have been that during his tenure.
Yeah.
All I can say about this story by Brendan Ambrosino in Politico is a lot going on here.
Yes.
And this is, like I said, in Politico, someone's got to tell the freaking truth. Jerry Falwell's aides break their silence. So, like, there's a long article. We're going to spend the whole episode on it, but there's so many things to tease out here alongside, that this is all happening parallel to the brilliant Danny McBride show.
So much so that when I read this, I honestly thought that it was some sort of brilliant viral marketing technique.
Those HBO, you got to hand it to them.
It's like, hey, you guys, some people might be saying, oh, a show about televangelists, isn't that a little 80s? No, it is not at all. It is very current.
But like above all of it, like I'm hoping that maybe examining all of these threads and weaving them together, we can begin to get a sense of the larger phenomenon of American Protestantism.
Yes,
and how the Protestant faith, how its arrival in America and its evolution here on this continent-sized country, alongside the United States, like as a nation itself, has created sort of like an uniquely apocalyptic scenario and mindset that we're now all living in.
Yeah. No, we're being held hostage. They've taken over control of the pilot's cockpit, and now they're steering us into the field in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so let's dive into the Politico reporting on Liberty University and the Falwell family. So it begins, at Liberty University, all anyone can talk about is Jerry Falwell Jr., just not in public. When he does stupid stuff, people will mention it to others they consider confidants and not keep it totally secret, a trusted advisor to Falwell, the school's president and chancellor, told me. But they won't rat him out. That's beginning to change. Over the past year, Falwell, a prominent evangelical leader and supporter of President Donald Trump, has come under increasing scrutiny. News outlets have reported on business deals by Liberty University benefiting Falwell's friends. Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, claimed that he had helped Falwell clean up racy personal photographs. Based on scores of new interviews and documents obtained for this article, concerns about Falwell's behavior go well beyond that, and it's causing longtime, loyal Liberty University officials to rapidly lose faith in him. More than 24 current and former high-ranking Liberty University officials and close associates of Falwell spoke to me or provided documents for this article, opening up for the first time at an institution so intimately associated with the Falwell family about what they've experienced and why they don't think he's the right man to lead Liberty University or serve as a figurehead in the Christian conservative movement. Okay, I'll pause there to say all those people, I'm glad they're snitching, but they're absolutely wrong. Jerry Falwell Jr. is exactly the right person to be a figurehead, not just of Liberty University, but the overall Christian conservative movement and their submission, their fealty to God Emperor Donald Trump.
Yes.
He should be the Protestant Pope.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, no one's more deserving. He's a shitty heir. He's completely maybe one of the most uncharismatic people
Absolutely.
ever.
Just a fucking dish rag.
The article gets into that.
A chasm of like we talked about it, the video CPAC that gave me, like, I'd say a 2-week-long madness.
It was him and Matt Schlapp, right?
No, it was him, Matt Schlapp, and Donald Trump Jr. And Donald Trump Jr. was the
cool
he was the geyser of charisma.
Yeah.
At that
Just
thing.
going like, hashtag me too. Am I
he's
right,
like,
folks?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my daughter a birthday present, but if she consents to it, me too. And for him, that was just knocking it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
That was like Patrice O'Neill on Howard Stern. Like, he was just killing it.
And then Falwell would just be like, well, I'll tell you what, if I'll tell Ocasio-Cortez she wants my burger, she's going to have to come get it.
I've got daughters and they play with Barbies. But assume that if she's come by here, tell Miss Cortez she assumed my gender. That was you can watch the video yourself, and that is, I actually wrote a better line for Falwell than the one he delivered.
Yeah.
It's like watching it's like if there was like a rehabilitation unit in a hospital for people who experience traumatic brain injuries from car accidents, trying to rehab each other, like giving each other speech therapy. It was shocking.
Yeah.
God makes the choice of what the babies are going to be, and God decided she would be a girl.
You don't have to raise them as a girl. She's got a little baby doll right
That's
under her
her-
arm every second.
Yeah.
And when my boys always had guns in their hands, so we didn't. That's not something.
Hashtag me too.
That's not something you teach them. That's something they're born with. But as far as those cows you mentioned, I've got 100 cows. You just let Alexandria Cortez show up at my house and try to take my cows away.
Yes.
I love cows, Jerry. They're delicious.
In interviews over the past 8 months, they depicted how Falwell and his wife Becky consolidated power at Liberty University and how Falwell presides over a culture of self-dealing, directing university resources into projects and real estate deals in which his friends and family have stood to make personal financial gains. Among the previously unreported revelations are Falwell's decision to hire his son Trey's company to manage a shopping center owned by the university. Okay, so this is another gemstone in this that is right in the Chapo canon. Felix's conception of uncle and father magic. Yes, this story has